Be willing to be a beginner every single morning. With this motivational thought, I wish all a very good morning. I, Professor Miki Barua from the Department of Humanities, first year engineering, Vidyalankar Institute of Technology, welcome you all back to the Faculty Development Program on Modern Educational Tools and Pedagogical Practices for Online Teaching, organized by Vidyalankar Institute of Technology. I think our audience have gained new perspectives about online teaching and learning from this FTP. Well, today we have with us again a new speaker with some fresh ideas and fresh discourses. And for this session, we have with us Dr. Anita Divakar Madam from IIT Bombay, who is going to deliver a very interesting topic on online teaching tools for effective course delivery and strengthening student engagement through interactive PPTs. Madam is from IIT Bombay, an educational technology expert, designated partner AIEE Training and Services, and who will deliberate on this very innovative topic. But first, let me take the privilege to introduce Madam to our audience. Madam is first a teacher by heart and soul, as we all are. Having PhD in Educational Technology from IIT Bombay, the topic of the thesis is development of guidelines for teaching and learning with virtual laboratories in engineering education. The online tool available at the URL vlabs.iitb.ac.in VLab Tool Alpha is the part of the outcome of her thesis. This tool helps users in designing various different types of virtual laboratory experiments. Madam has done her master's and bachelor's in electronics engineering. And apart from many publications and various workshops which she has conducted, Madam has attended and conducted many such online courses and workshops for the engineering educators and students, especially, and in the domain of design and development of virtual laboratory experiments. Madam also has trained 1,000 engineering teachers and more than 2,500 engineering students from the states of Maharashtra, Gujarat, Karnataka, and Goa. She is also part of TUET, which is Teachers Use of Educational Technology Researchers Group from IDP in ET Bombay. Having 28 years of teaching experience in engineering education, 8 years in industry, and 9 years in research, Madam is a designated partner of AIEE Educational Technology for the past 8 years. Madam has also designed and developed some industry applications in the embedded systems and Internet of Things domains with industry collaborations, and also has a YouTube channel for educational videos in electronics engineering domain. Madam has also received Best Paper Award and GOLC, which is Global Online Laboratory Consortium Best Online Virtual Laboratory Award for 2020. Well, that is a very great achievement. Also, Madam is a life member of ISTE, member of CSI, IAOE, GOLC, and senior member of IEEE, and the list goes on. So once again, on behalf of the Vidyalankar family, I extend a very warm welcome to our speaker, Dr. Anita Divakar, Madam. It is a pleasure to have you here on this platform today, Madam. I would now request Dr. Anita Divakar, Madam, to take over the session.
So, a very good morning to all of you. First of all, I would like to thank Vidyalankar Institute for making me a part of this interaction with all the great teachers around us. Thank you, Barua Madam, for such a kind introduction of me. So and also thank you, Professor Deshmukh, for pursuing me on this FDP since last, I think, 1.5 months. So very warm welcome to all of you, all the participants. So I'm just a teacher, just like all of you. and in the current situation all of us are facing. So today I'm here not as, I don't say I am some expert or something, but I'm just going to share my experiences in these last 3-4 months when I myself have been conducting online sessions for training teachers and students. So just I'll share my presentation now. Sir, shall I share my presentation? I hope I am able to stand up to the expectations of the participants. Normally,
Yes,
okay. So
ma'am, you can
normally
share
what
now.
I do is I have a survey prior to my interaction with the participants to understand what are their expectations. But this time, because the participation is in huge numbers, we are not able to do that. So I'm just hoping that I'm able to stand up to your expectations. And so, is my screen visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
But please put the presentation mode on, ma'am. Slideshow mode.
It is on the slideshow only. Now, is it visible? Hello?
Yes,
I have put
yes,
it on
ma'am. Yes.
slideshow only, but I don't know why it is not giving that view, the slide show view,
Okay. Ma'am.
because it is on the. But is it visible? Like, shall I start?
Yes. 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 Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so maybe
Yeah.
it will take some time. So, okay, so this is going to be the outline of my talk today. First, I will talk about the teaching tools in synchronous, asynchronous mode, and some assessment tool. And then part 2 will be strengthening the student engagement through PPTs. That is, I'll be discussing some active learning methods, which I have myself tried even in the online sessions. So, some of the tools that I have used for the synchronous mode is Zoom, Google Meet, Cisco WebEx, and Microsoft Teams meeting. And there are many more. And I think with the current situation, each day you will see some new, teaching tool or new meeting tool coming up on the internet. But what I have found is that the Zoom and the Zoom, Cisco WebEx, Microsoft Team, these are some of the tools which I have used myself and found them effective. Okay, so just a small question here. So what are the various teaching learning processes that you implement in your classroom? So I just want all of you to think for a few minutes and maybe in your mind list the various teaching learning processes that you implement in your classroom. So like I said, this is going to be interactive. So we are going to discuss, we are going to share our thoughts, because we believe that just lecturing or just if I just keep on talking,
Ma'am,
I don't want you.
ma'am,
Sorry.
ma'am,
Hello.
sorry to disturb, but the
Yeah,
slideshow is not going on. It is not working.
it's not working.
No.
uh, okay, shall I share it again? Stop share and share it again
Yes, yes,
and just try that.
yes.
Okay. Now is it visible? Hello,
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
is it visible now?
Yes.
Okay. So this is a small question here. So I just want all of you to think and list the various teaching learning processes that you implement in your classroom. So I'll just give you some time. So when I say teaching learning process is that particular activity or the process that you carry out so that your students are learning something and while you are teaching them. Okay. And then now I'll be showing you some pictures. I just want all of you to see these pictures very carefully because these pictures are going to lead us to these processes. Okay. So this is one scenario. Yes.
Ma'am, it is still
Hello.
on the first slide. Hello, ma'am. It is on
Yeah.
first slide only.
This one.
Yes, the first slide is being shown now.
So what I will do, I'll just change my this thing maybe. Now, is it visible
Just a
now?
moment. Just a minute, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay.
Ma'am, try to change it once, please.
Yes,
You can move back or okay, yeah, ma'am. Now it is perfectly
visible.
working.
Okay, okay.
Yes.
So as you can see, this is one picture of a classroom teaching learning scenario, right? So just think of the teaching learning process that is going on here in all these pictures. This is again another scenario. This is again another scenario, right? Okay. Okay. So I think all of you, after going through the pictures, you have got some idea of what are all the activities or the processes that we carry out when we teach in the classroom, right? So first, I think we do explain the various concepts, figures, block diagrams on the board or with the help of a PPT, right? Then we ask the students to replicate the figures or block diagrams, or they just take down some notes, right? Then we seek oral feedback whether the students have understood the concept or they have some doubt in the figure or the block diagram or some equation. Then we sometimes ask questions to find out how many have understood, how many have not understood. Then we ask a student to write the answer on the board. Maybe sometimes we solve a problem, just keep some of the steps in between blank and ask some students to come to the board and ask them to, okay, now you write the answer. What is the answer to this, right? In order to engage these students in the classroom. Then we solve a well-structured problem, like a problem which has got stepwise process and a one single answer to that. So that is called as a well-structured problem. So we solve this either on the blackboard or whiteboard or the PPT. And then we give a similar problem and ask the students to solve it. That is practice problems. Then sometimes we ask the students to work in group to solve ill-structured problem, right? So ill-structured problem is something which may have different answers and each of the answer is correct. right? Each student may come up with a different procedure for coming to the solution, and each of the solution can be a correct solution. So that is what is a ill-structured problem, and we do not define all the parameters in the ill-structured problem, whereas well-structured is something where we give everything to the student. Like for example, find the area of a circle given this is the radius and so on. That is a well-structured problem. Ill-structured is like out of these say two diodes or two transistors, identify which one you will choose for say a rectifier, or which one you will choose as a switch, and so on. Then students use their own devices for carrying out coding exercises. Yes, for courses where we have this coding, where we want them to learn the programming. So naturally, we ask them to bring their own devices, and we do some coding on the PPT or in our own device, and share it with them and ask them to come up with coding for some other problem. So I believe these are the various things that, or these activities that we do in our regular classroom. And we have been doing this since many years. Now, because of this situation, we are facing a problem of how to convert these activities into online things. Because we want to, this is how it works. This we have seen, this is how it works. And even the educational technology theories also indicate that, yes, there are 9, events or 9 principles which you have to solicit so that the learning happens. They are called the Gagne's 9 principles. So these are basically based on these activities, or the processes are based on those events, right? And they are working fine since so many years. So how do we convert this, or how I have done it in my classroom? So just think, do you think you can carry it out these in online classes, all of these activities? So how many are there? So all these activities, do you feel that you can convert these classroom activities into online activities? Or are there some activities which you feel are not possible? So I just want you to think of the various processes that you can carry out, and the processes that you cannot carry out in online classes, or you were challenged when you had to do this particular thing in online classes. Okay. So I'll just give you 1 minute for thinking about. So I'll just share this list again with you, and now you know what you have to do. You're just out of this. Just think of what are all the processes that you can carry out in online and not carry out in online. Okay, so there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So out of these 9, which one you can do and which you cannot? Okay. So as per my experience of the past 3 months, I have been doing these activities, and all these processes can be carried out in online classes, because there are technology tools available for carrying out all these activities. And all these tools and the technology, they work fine. Okay. And they have worked for me. I believe they will also work for you all. Okay. So I'm just showing you here this picture of one of my, so this is one of the tool that is for the online delivery, the synchronous delivery. As you can see, this is the presentation or PPT. Here I can see who all are the participants. So I will get a list of the participants here. Here I can see the chat, and this particular application, it provides, a facility where you can chat or you can write a message to everyone, or you can write a message privately. Okay. So this particular thing, so here you can explain the concept, right? Then seek oral feedback whether the students have understood. So you just have to type here in the chat that, okay, have you understood this? Then you will get the answers here in the chat window. Okay. Then suppose I want them, I want to share some file with them. Okay. So here, this is one again feature. So you just have to click here on this particular tab, file. When you click here, you can share a file from your device and share it with the students, right? Okay, now this is another, very interesting feature that this online tool is providing, that is annotating. So what I have done is I have shared this file. This is a Word document. So I'm showing it on, so I'm sharing this as a share screen on my device. And then this is what I have annotated. So whatever content from this particular file you want the student to go through. So I want you to read the abstract carefully. So this is the abstract. So you can say that, okay, read this abstract carefully. And then this is a pointer, right? So whenever you are explaining something from this particular thing, you can just move the pointer here so as to gather their attention. So this is a feature that is the annotate, right? So you can see here, these are the different options that are available in the annotation. Okay. So here again, say for example, if you want that, okay, there is some mistake here, you want them to find out. See, this is a Word file. So suppose there is some problem that you have solved and you want your students to find out some, some mistake in that solution of that particular problem. You can say that, okay, what is the mistake here, or something like that, right? Okay. So now for this particular process, that is, ask the students to replicate the figures, write the answer, well-structured problem, practice problem, right? So for this, again, there are features like whiteboard. Okay. So this is similar to the whiteboard tool that is online available. I'm going to show you that also. So this whiteboard, this is inbuilt inside this particular tool, where you can ask the students to replicate. They can draw it on the whiteboard and share it with the with the class. Okay, online class. See, then again, yes, there is a feature that just like I'm using it now, share the screen. So students can write their answers on the whiteboard, or and then share it with the others. So you basically you can just point out to one student that, okay, this particular problem you will solve it and share with the others, right? And then give a similar problem and ask some other student. Now this is very important, when you are doing online session, many times it happens that, this is again from my experience, that some students, they just log in, or they just join the meeting, and they will just and we say that, okay, mute your video, mute your audio because of the network issues. So we don't know what exactly they are doing there, so we just call out the names of the student because it is displayed. So call the names and ask them, okay, say maybe Deepak, please draw the figure and show it to me. Okay, just like we do in the classroom. Yes, definitely online, I agree, it is going to take more of your time than classroom teaching, because we are not faced with the network issues, right? Similarly, here we have this, many times, like I have shown in the picture, one of the pictures, you ask them to raise the hand, or you ask them whether, if you have not understood, should I slow down my. So here there is a feature which allows the student to raise hand, clap, disagree, and so on, right? Then suppose you want the students to work on a ill-structured problem. Suppose you want them to divide it into groups. So there is this feature which is breakout rooms. So you can divide the students into smaller groups so that they carry out this problem solving in a group, and then come back again. They can chat within the group. So they can send private messages in the group. They chat, they come up with the solution, and then they can also chat with you if they have some issues. They can privately chat with you that, okay, this we are stuck at this step, or is this correct, something like that. And then they share their solution with the entire class by share screen feature. Okay. So these are the features, some other features that of online meeting tools. So you can create random meeting IDs. So these are basically for the, you can say, security features that many of the applications are providing. So you have a password so that no one many times it may happen that some, I don't know currently, but in the olden times it used to happen like we would go and sit in some other class just for fun, just to piss the teacher off. So here also some students may do that, try to do that, right? Then chat is there, disable video, non-verbal feedback is there through the chat. We can log the meeting. Once we know that all your students are inside the meeting, they have joined the meeting, joined the class, we should say. And then you can also turn off file transfer. This is one important thing that I would suggest, because otherwise, they may create some problem here if they start sharing something which is not required. And this is very, very much possible. Okay. So now, because we are not having this, maybe like sir said that we have a moderator here. So if you have any questions till now on the synchronous, so we have covered this, how we can carry out the different teaching learning processes in the synchronous mode. But now what happens is, because of this problem of network, many times it is not possible for us to conduct our classes synchronously. Or some students may face problems at their end and they are not able to join. So in such situation, what do we do? So what we do is we do what is called as a asynchronous, right? So here we take help of these learning management systems. So there are different learning management systems like Moodle, Sakai, Blackboard, Canvas, and so many are there, and each day a new LMS is being introduced. But I just want to share here one important thing that, see, I have been using Moodle for past so many years. This is a free, it is open source LMS. So don't just, because there are a lot of people who are doing marketing. They know that, okay, teachers are, having these problems. They want to go online. So let me do my marketing and tell. I receive emails every day in the morning. Okay, buy this, buy that. So I believe if you know how to use Moodle, this is one of the best LMSs. So don't go behind these other things which are proprietary and they are charging some very high amounts for their learning management systems. Moodle has most of the features which are required for the delivery of your course online, asynchronous mode. So naturally yes, there was one question, I don't remember, some 1 month back, one teacher called me, asked, can I have Moodle in my device, in my laptop or on my desktop? I said, very well, yes, you can have it, because she was told that the Moodle will work only on the servers. So here you can just download at this particular URL. So here now I will just show you okay, so this is what, is this visible? Hello? Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, it is
Okay.
visible, ma'am.
So this is the website where you need to go, Moodle website. And in the application, you will see, once you download and install, you will see this particular icon. So you click on that icon, and then first you need to click here, that is MAMP. Okay, so you click here and you have to click here, that is start the servers. Now I have started the servers, so it is showing me stop servers. So you need to start the servers. Once this starts, then you again go to the application, this application, and click on this Moodle icon. So when you click on this icon, you will see this particular window. And then it gives a login. It's very simple. You should just say login as admin and the password as 12345 and login. Okay, so here you can see here you have a dashboard. Okay, some files that you can keep private, okay, for the administrator. There is a content bank. Then this is my courses. So for first time using, you have to go to the site administration. Okay, now when you go to the site administration, you have to add the users, like who are all going to be the students, what are all the courses. So here you can go to the manage courses and categories. You can add a course. For example, I have added this, electronics engineering, and then in this I have added this basic and advanced electronics course. Okay, so I can add a course, and then for that particular course I can so for this course you can see you have this edit option, right? And then you can keep on adding the content for the different topics. So I think best is you do it yourself, because I believe doing it if once you do it hands on, I'm sure you will be if you have any doubts, there is a help here provided, right? These are the notifications that you will get, and this is the these are the different options that are available, right? And this is the home screen. Okay, so because of time, I think you also have one complete session only on LMSs, I believe. So maybe that time you are going to have some hands-on session. Then another LMS that I have used is the Blackboard. Okay, so this is also similar to the Moodle. So you can add. So here I've added the course virtual labs and so on. So when you go to this particular, okay, you can add the content here, right? So you can add the groups, you can students, you can put this here. So there are security features available. Okay, then there is a grading that you can that is possible. So just like Moodle, this particular LMS also provide most of the features that are available in the Moodle. So in Moodle site administration, you can add audio, video, PDFs. Then you can also have a calendar, like when you want to schedule this particular course, right? Or suppose you want to give access to your students for a particular duration of time for the course, you click on here, that is manage subscriptions. So basically this is more for people who are also using this for their own learning management online courses, which are even paid. Okay, so this you can use. Maybe institutions are using this for paid courses and certifications and so on. So there you have to provide these subscriptions, right? Okay. So now going back to, so these are the few examples of the LMS, that is Moodle and Blackboard. So what are the features that this provides? Basically, course content. So you can post articles, assignments, videos, and so on. They can use this function to post due dates for assignments and tests. Then there are learning modules. This is for strictly online classes, right? So they you post say one video per topic or something like that, and they can give access to the students. Then there is an activity stream, right, where a recent uploading of the assignment. So it's like, just like we have activity stream for say maybe like you have in your browser, you have something like news, so latest updates or something like. So it's like the history of timeline of the changes. Then yes, assessments are there, so you can post quizzes and exams to the students. Then assignments, you can ask the students to the online assignment. They can also post the assignment online, right? There is a profile thing, grade book is there, right? And the media library. So most of the LMSs, they will offer these features. And naturally, how to use these features, you have to use it yourself, do it hands-on, and it is not at all very difficult to do, right? And they also have online help. You can always post your questions and they will get back. So now, so we have covered the delivery part, right? So in synchronous delivery, we use the online tools, meeting tools like Zoom and so on, use the features there. For asynchronous, we use the LMSs like Moodle, Blackboard and so on. Now, suppose we want to carry, and one of the other thing that we do in our classroom teaching or teaching learning process is assess the students. Again, assessment, we carry out either a formative assessment or a summative assessment. So some of these tools that I found useful, that is the Google Forms. This is a very interesting, actually the Google Forms, initially they were devised for conducting surveys. But we have, as teachers, we have been using this for giving assessment to the students, right? So asking them questions and for carrying out the online assessments. So this is how this looks like. So you have to go to your so naturally, for using this Google Forms, you need to have a Gmail account. And when you have this Gmail account, like I'm showing it here, you have go to this drive, and then in the drive you can add a new, right? And there are more options here. Okay, so in the forms, like I'll just show you here again, if for the already available forms. Okay, so you can search and you will get the list of all the forms that you create, right? So this is how it looks like. So you have to give a name to the form, and then there are different questions that you can add, multiple choice, different types of questions. So I'll just open one of the forms. Okay.
Hello,
So
ma'am.
here you can, yes.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
There are few questions. There are
Yeah,
few
yes.
questions.
Okay,
Okay.
okay, yes, I
Just-
can take this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, madam, I have interrupted in between. Sorry for that.
No, it's fine. I mean, I like that.
Yeah, in between, we can have quickly some questions which
Sure,
audience have asked.
sure.
First question is which tool to use for annotating, actually. One question I saw in the live chat section.
So for annotation, in these meeting tools, there is a annotate option available. There is a tool which is available for actually in the Word itself. I'll just show you. See, for online things, suppose you want the students to annotate something, then these online meeting tools, they provide this. Okay. Say, just like I showed on my slide here. Here. Is this visible?
No, not yet.
Not visible. So here, if you see, is this visible now?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So here, see, this is the window of Zoom meeting. Okay. Zoom classroom. So here, if you see, there is this annotate icon, right? So when I click on this annotate icon, this is what appears on my screen, right? So
Yeah,
you
we can
can,
clearly see. Yes, yes,
yeah.
ma'am.
So you can text, and you can, just, this is what I have typed using this text. Then this is the spotlight, this red thing that you see, that is the spotlight. So suppose you want your student to go through some PDF or some doc file, you can just open that particular file and annotate it there that way.
So is it, ma'am, available on other platforms also?
Most of them, even I think Microsoft Meeting, it allows.
Teams.
Cisco WebEx,
Okay.
yeah. Most of the platforms, they do make this particular feature available.
And what
But
about the breakout rooms? Because this was also a question put by one of our delegates. That is it
yes,
available
yes.
on MS Teams?
Yes, it is available. I have used it, and it is available on Microsoft Teams. Yes.
Okay, ma'am. And can we mark the attendance on these online platforms? Like that is a query which was asked mostly by our delegates, attendance marking of students.
See, basically what happens is whenever you have these meetings, when you click on this, participants tab, just like I'm seeing here in the stream, I can see all the participants.
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
So for attendance, what I would suggest is that I'm coming to that tool, that is Mentimeter for online attendance.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm just going to do that now. So how
Okay,
you
ma'am.
can take online attendance, because here you can just see the participants. In the meeting tools, you can see who all are attending, right? But like I said, the students may just, join the meeting and just mute their video, audio, and you never know what they are doing in the background. So if you want them to participate in your classroom, then Mentimeter is a tool which you can use it effectively for engaging the students and asking them questions when they are online. So that, give you, I'll just demonstrate that one of it.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can go ahead with the presentation. Yeah, ma'am. Thank you for this
Yeah.
in between session. Yeah,
Thanks.
thank you.
Okay, so now we go to yes. So like I said, this is the Mentimeter app, okay, wherein you can so this is how it looks like. So for Mentimeter, basically you have to sign up just like for other tools, online tools. You have to create your registration, username, password, and so on. Now, once you do that, this is where this is how your dashboard looks like. Okay. So now again, so I have created, so for adding your presentation. So this is basically for, creating interactive PPTs. So basically creating interactivities while you are delivering your online session. So what you do is here you create a new presentation. Okay. So this already I have created my first presentation. Okay. So can you see? Is this visible? Is it visible? I'm not getting the... Okay, so I'm getting the responses. I think it is visible to all of you. So here what you can do is, there are 13 different types of questions that you can add in your So these are the different types of questions you can add in your PPT. So this you can add while you are delivering your content online. So this is one question which I have already created. So I'll just share with you. Okay. So maybe now we can use this now itself. So you get a feel of how it works. Okay. So this is the window that looks like. So here, see, present, right? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to present this question to all of you, right? Okay. And what all of you need to do is you just have to note down this number. Can you see this number 406511? Can you see the number 406511? Okay. So now just go to www.mentimeter.com. Okay. So I am now presenting. Okay. So now all of you need to go to this menti.com and use this code to answer this question. Have you used active teaching learning methods in your classroom? So just, type click on this or this option. So are you able to go to menti.com and give this code? Okay. So now what will happen is when all of you, answer this, I think some of you are finding a difficulty in connecting. So just imagine that this you are giving to your students. Okay. So you ask them a particular question while you are presenting. Okay. And they answer it using this particular okay, I think there are some issues in connection. Okay, maybe I will. Okay, I think some of you are not able to, not accepting what's okay. Okay, so I will add it again. Okay, I'll create this question. So you, okay, see now. So are you able to see this? Actually, I'm getting 52 responses. You can see here how many people are answering. And this is like, how many of them are saying yes, how many are saying no. And then actually, I should have deleted the option 3 while I designed this. Okay. So Okay, so now I think most of you are able to vote, right? So I have already got response from 77 participants, right? Maybe some of you are able to do, some of you are not able to do. But most of the times, no, this works fine. I mean, in my class, I have used this online class and I am able to do it very well, and I am getting this. So here, you know, this is one way of finding out like how many of your students are actually present physically, mentally, both ways. So you can just add these type of questions in between when you are presenting. Okay. So I'll just share with you what are the different, So it gives, you know, 13 interactive question types. You can add 30 as a teacher, you can add 13 types of interactive questions. And then see, basically, because I have not paid, the paid version will allow you to import your entire presentation. So I'll just escape this. So here, see, import button is there. So now this is available only if you have, you know, a paid version. I'm using a trial version, but if you pay around, say, it comes to around 7,000 per year or something, maybe your organization can, subscribe for this, and then you can import your entire PPT. You can put it here, and then you can add questions in between for each of this, and you can add 13 different varieties of questions. Okay. And then there can be, you know, there are different how to make it attractive. There are different ways of you can adding images, GIFs, even GIF libraries, and so on. And yes, like I showed you just now, see, immediately you get the analysis of your data, like how many people have participated, how many of you have said yes, how many of you have said no. And another thing, you know, very important type is a quiz here. If you see here, you can see quiz competition. Okay, so here you can, you know, say that, okay, the participants can answer this within so much time, right? So this is, you can have an online quiz for your session, or maybe even an online quiz for your particular topic or for a particular course. That way you can add this here in the quiz competition. So the students, they get this particular code, they have to go to this, enter this, and then mark the first. So you have, you know, who is at the analysis, you get to know who is the first student who answered, who is the second, and so on, that way. Okay. So I think I have answered to your query of how do we ask questions during the class, or how do we, you know, keep these students engaged even in the online class, right? Now another important tool that I have been using for my online teaching is Padlet. Okay, so this is a open source tool, Padlet. So you just have to go to padlet.com. Okay, so just you can say that this I am already having an account, so you can log into this Padlet using your Gmail account. So that is what I have done. So this is the dashboard of your Padlet, right? So this is what. So basically, what is Padlet is that, suppose you want your students to, they are working on some project, or they are doing some collaborative. So this is the best tool for collaborative work, right? So you can add these. So like I have added this to where some text boxes, you can say. So each student, and then I can share this complete thing, and you can invite people here. Okay, so suppose you want, suppose say the students are working in a group, then maybe you are a part of that group, and say 4 students are also a part of that group. So they share their work here, say the complete project work. So here maybe they create that, okay, what is the problem that they are trying to solve, what is the methodology that they are following, and then they can collaborate online. So when one student creates his own Padlet, he can invite other students to collaborate, and together they can build this particular entire thing, right? You can modify, you can change the format, and then once you have completed this, you can share it with others, right? So just like we share, say, a Google Doc. So it's like, in Google Doc, what happens is a text Word document, right? Similarly, we have a Excel, Google Excel, we have this. So this is like, a collaboration tool where each participant can have, or this can be one, block diagram, this can be one complete figure of their project. Or so basically this is very useful when they are solving what I said are the ill-structured problems. So they come up with the solution, they share the solution, they interact online, they say, no, this is not working, this is how we should go. So they can add comments, they can add pictures here. So this is the add tool, so you can add, so this is what can be added. So whenever you want to add something, you can just add it here, write something here, type something, you can add pictures, you can add right? So this is one very, very useful tool I found when you want your student to do a collaborative work. Okay, how many of you have okay, I think there is a comment that Padlet allows only 3 at a time. Actually, I think some of us have used it for multiple users also. Yes. Yes. I think someone has already answered that even 200 people can collaborate there, right? So it's a very useful tool for collaboration. It's really very, very, and most importantly, this is browser based, so you don't have to download anything, you don't have to upload anything, and so on. So just open it in a browser, start collaborating, right? So this is a very useful tool that I found for my project work, basically. Okay. So I think with this, I have covered most of the tools. So now coming back to the second part, and we are also halfway through. I think 1 hour is gone. So now in the next 45 minutes, I'll be covering something which is very close to our hearts. That is the active learning methods. Okay. Now, like I have been saying from the beginning, that we believe in this Department of Educational Technology, we strongly believe that if you really want that your students to learn something, or gain some knowledge, develop some skill, these are the methods that you should use for teaching learning processes. That is the active learning methods. So I'll just cover a few active learning methods which have worked very well for me in my classrooms, as well as in my online classrooms. So just like I said, this is what I had shared with you. So how many? So I think many of you are already using the active learning methods, right? And we have used Mentimeter for getting the feedback on this particular question, right? So what is active teaching learning? So this is basically approach to teaching and learning. The goal of this is to engage students with the content via specific activities that get students to talk, write, reflect, and express their thinking, right? And there are several instructional strategies that come under the active learning. I think for some of you, this may be a repetition of what you have already done, maybe prior to this particular session. And some of you, this may be something new. I am not sure because I have not conducted any survey with all of you. So so requirements are that the instructor creates carefully designed activities, right? And then students go beyond listening, copying notes, execution of prescribed procedures. So this is very important. See, it has been found through research that if you just, talk in your classroom, just give lecture, the traditional lecturing. So in that, the retention of the knowledge that you have given to the students is hardly 5 to 6%. So if they are just listening to what you are saying, this is not going to help anyways in achieving the learning objectives that we have. And see, when as teachers, I believe that whatever we do in the classroom, whether it is a face-to-face classroom, it is a blended learning or synchronous, we need to see to it that at the center of all these activities is the learner or the student. We have to keep on thinking that, okay, whatever I am doing now, what is my student going to do? Is he engaged in this particular activity? Right? So we need to make them talk, we need to make them write, we need to make them reflect, right? And express their thinking. So these are 4 very important processes that the students need to go through if we have to achieve our learning objectives. And yes, these strategies, they are based on learning theories, which are well established by researchers carried out over many years, and they have been evaluated through empirical research. Means they have been proved to be effective in achieving the learning objectives. Okay, so this is one slide that I'm presenting here. So what do you think are the features of active learning strategies? So I have here 9 different features. So well, this 4th should be 1, 3, 4, 8, 9 and not 7, 8. Okay. So I'll just give you 1 minute to think about this. So think about it. So students engage in problem solving during class time. Students sit and listen to the lecture throughout the class. Specific student ideas are elicited and addressed. Students are asked to figure things out for themselves. Students take down notes without understanding the content. Students are not allowed to express their reasoning. Students do not work collaboratively but alone. Students receive rapid feedback, and qualitative reasoning and conceptual thinking are emphasized. So I think all of you have now come up with, so what is the answer? Is it 1, 2, 3 or 4? Here, yes, 4 is 1, 3, 4, 8, 9, not 7, 8. Okay. So now, next slide is discuss with your partner. So now this, I'm not sure how do we do this online. I think some of you have already put your answers in the comment section. Okay. Actually, the second activity is discuss with your partner. So this is a very important thing that you need to do. Okay, so maybe I'm just calling out names here. So Sheetal, maybe do you have, do you have a private chat option here in this tool, online tool, this StreamYard? Do we have this option, sir? Or maybe you can just discuss with some.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes,
Hello.
ma'am. Private chat is only for the
Hello.
Acha, acha. For the organizers.
Private chat is not for Yes, yes. It is not
Okay,
for
okay.
participants.
Because in Zoom and even in Microsoft Net Meeting, there is option where the participants can privately chat with each other, and they can also chat with everyone. Okay, it's okay. So see, basically the point that I am stressing here is that, so in your Zoom, maybe you can do this. So discuss with your partner and again come up with your answer, right? So what happens here is basically, so now some of you have given an answer as to or something else, right? Now what happens in a classroom or in any online class, even I have observed this in the online class, that if some student has given a wrong answer or he has given some other option, he will discuss with someone, and then he will understand that okay, why his answer is so. Many times it happens that they change the answer after discussion with the partner or with his friend or his colleague, right? So this is what we have just now experienced. We call it as a peer learning, right? So these are the features of active learning, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. And definitely, if the students are just sitting and listening throughout, it is not a part of active learning. So the various active learning strategies or methods, just now what we saw is called as a peer instruction. So we are, asking other person, his peer, student's peer, to make him understand why his particular answer is wrong. And through this, he understands the particular concept. So that is peer instruction, right? Then second is a think, pair, share. Then predict, observe, explain, role playing, problem based learning, productive. These are some of the active learning strategies that I have myself used in my classroom, and they have been very, very useful in engaging and also achieving my learning objective. Again, this can be with technology and without technology, right? And yes, some of the other self-learning technologies for active learnings are discovery learning using simulation. This is also one of the very important active learning. And then again, I think many of you must have used this concept map with the CMAP tool. This is again a very engaging and interesting activity that you can give to the student for creating a concept map. Even they can collaborate in the concept map just like they collaborate in the Padlet. And yes, like I have been working on virtual laboratories for the past 8 years. This is one of the very engaging and useful platform that has been developed by MHRD through various institutes, and I've been a part of this project for 8-9 years now. And here it is a technology for self-learning, and it's very engaging, attractive, and even effective. That has been proved. Okay, so this is what we have seen, the peer instruction. So sometimes they even argue. Suppose one student, he is very sure that okay, this is my answer is right. He may argue with the other person and ask him to or someone who knows the answer, he will say no, I am correct. So that is something very interesting that you should observe in your classroom, right? Then they listen also, they reason, right? So basically they are learning from each other and teaching each other. And the best way to learn, I have been experiencing, is to teach. Teaching is the best way of learning, right? And then those who don't know, they are willing to think, reason, answers. Sometimes students are shy. Some students are shy and they are not ready to discuss with the teacher, but when it comes to discussing with the friend, they will be very free to discuss. So peer learning helps for such students as well. Okay. And then we get a immediate feedback, right? students realize that even others are struggling. It's not that only they have a issue. Then a friendly and scientific atmosphere, and it improves the communication. Okay, so this is how it works, right? So you ask a question, individual voting, then peer discussion, vote again, and then we present the description to the, then we have a discussion. And then for that we can, in the classroom, normally we use these which are called as clickers. These are very old technology. And then if you do not have, the technology, you can just give them these placards, and then they can hold it in front of them. And the other thing is just answer, like ask them to do this. And now in the online session, what I do is ask them to, okay, which feature can you use for peer instruction in online class, and do you carry out peer instruction? So did we carry out peer instruction in this session? I think we were not able to do because we were not using a tool, the meeting tool, which allowed for the private chat. But if there is a private and a public chat available, this is very much possible to do in your online classroom as well. Okay. Okay, so this is one just diversion, just grabbing your attention. I strongly believe in this, right? So it's amazing what we can accomplish when we are in it together. So currently, I think all the teachers all over the world are facing the same situation. We are all of it in this together. And I am 100% sure that we are going to come out of this as winners. We are not going to make people think that teaching learning is something which is not necessary. Because see, when this lockdown started, there were a lot of jokes running around that I have been spending 22 23 years of life on doing something which is non-essential. But this was in the very I was very unhappy after reading that, because see, we stopped the classroom. We asked the student not to attend the classes because we were worried about their safety. But as soon as we became aware that yes, it is possible to do this online, I think all over the world people have started, teachers and students have started this teaching learning process, and we are going to come out winners. I strongly believe in that. Okay, now we will see just active learning method 2. Okay, so I'm going to show you a picture in the next slide. So I want you to observe it very carefully for 1 minute. Okay. So are you able to see? Yes. Okay. So now just look at this picture and see it carefully. Just observe it. Observe the picture. What do you see? So there are two flasks. One flask has little water in it. Other has a more amount of water. There is a balloon attached at the tip of both the flask, and then there is a coil on which these are placed, and this is on. The LED shows that this is on, and there is a timer here. Okay. Now, what do you think will happen? So now what I want you to do is just note it down in your wherever, maybe in your mind or whatever. Just note it down. Okay. So I'll just show the picture again. And what you are supposed to do is note down what happens. Okay. No, yes. So some of you have commented that what is there in that. So what I want all of you to note down, maybe in your somewhere in your notebook or somewhere in your mind, what will happen. Okay. What happens? So this is a scenario. Okay. So what will happen? So now what I will do is I will show you one video. So I'm going to YouTube. I hope it works. So are you able to see the video? I think I will restart it again from the beginning. So it's already 37, 30, 40 seconds. So just observe what is happening there. Just take it ahead. So we are almost completing. Okay. So so this is what did you expect this, or did you have the same thing in your mind? See, after I showed you this picture, okay, I asked you what do you think will happen, right? And I asked you to note down or in just think and write it in your memory somewhere what happens. And then I showed you the video. Now I'm asking, do you think like whatever you thought or whatever you wrote down, was it the same that actually happened? Yes. Okay, so some of you are saying that yes, the same thing that you expected or what was there in your mind happened. But some of you are writing that no, we did not expect this, right? Some of you are saying this partially, yes, we thought like that. Okay, so this particular strategy, we call it as predict, observe, explain. Okay, so this is what is the most important phase here, that this is the phase where, you know, most of your maybe thinking, if you have thought something different, it gets cleared in your mind that okay, yes, it is because of this that maybe this is what has happened. What we had expected maybe was that the flask which was carrying maybe the less water, in that the maybe the balloon would blow off or something like that. So we were expecting something different, and what happened was something different. Or maybe we thought that this balloon will, you know, start blowing first than this because there is more water here, right? So this is a strategy which we call it as predict, observe, explain. So what you do in this strategy is, and this is used to understand prior knowledge of student, generate discussion, engage them, and this works if there is an element of surprise. So this video or this picture that I showed, so whenever you are using this particular strategy in your maybe offline or online class or face-to-face class, what is important here is the element of surprise. So you should show something which they have not seen any time earlier, right? And then ask them the question of what will happen, then actually show what actually happens. This you can even do with, you know, virtual labs. This I have done using virtual labs in my classroom, right? I think some of my colleagues have also used virtual labs in their classroom for doing this particular type of activity. So we show them a particular simulation or some circuit diagram, give some input output, and ask the student, okay, Abhi, what will be the output that you get? And then we actually use the simulator and show the output, and they are, oh my god, I didn't expect this was not what I was thinking, right? And then we explain why this happened, what happened, and so on, right? So this is a very, very, you know, interesting active learning method, and it really works very well. So first, you ask the students to show something and ask them to predict the outcome, right? I said like outcome of experiment or something, and ask them to note it down. This is very important, you know, because later when they see the actual, they are able to compare, okay, this is what I was thinking, right? And then ask them to watch the video or complete the experiment themselves, right? And then explain. And then maybe here again, you can ask the student themselves to explain. That is also one good thing that you can do there. Okay, so again, so I just want to share, I'm very happy today to be with all of you, because I'm working with great people. I believe that yes, teachers are great and have no second thoughts about that, never ever. And I'm very happy I'm working with great people today. Okay, now I'm just going to the last part of my presentation or discussion, that is the active learning method, that is think, pair, and share. Okay. So again, yeah. So what problems did you encounter while conducting online class? I believe because you are doing this particular FDP on online teaching, what are the tools, what are the technologies, I am 100% sure that all of you wish, and yes, we are not very sure because of the situation when the actual face-to-face classroom is going to start. But we don't want our students to lose on the teaching learning. We don't want us to be, not involved with our students for so many months together. We want to be, on our toes. We want to experience that teaching learning once again, if not face to face, in the online sessions. And we want that our students should be engaged, they should learn something, and we can facilitate that through online tools, technologies. But yes, what are the problems that you encountered? So maybe this is just taking a feedback from you all. Online class etiquettes, network connectivity, yes, is a issue, yes. So I feel that wherever there is a network issue, asynchronous works. I didn't cover one more important active learning strategy, that is a flipped classroom. I think in the current thing that may work. So what I have done myself again is like, uh, I think there was a question, if the classroom is very large, if you have say hundreds or 150 students and you are not able to interact and so on. So what I normally have done, yes, I agree it is going to take more of your time, but I have divided my class sessions. So instead of taking for say more students at a time, so for example, I have been working with a few teachers on development of design and development of virtual lab experiments. So initial 1 or 2 sessions where I had wanted to learn, I wanted them to learn something, and then when they started their own designing and development, I started taking sessions with smaller groups, say 20, 25, and so on. Yes, someone is saying that identification of weak students. I think if you have these interactivities incorporated in your PPTs or in your presentations, we can definitely or we can have a private chat. Like I said, many of the tools, they provide these private chat options. So if you observe that say some of the students are not answering, or they are giving a wrong answer or something like that, you can directly in a private chat. See, this is, I feel this is a big advantage over the face to face classroom, because some students know they are very shy and they don't speak up. But here what happens is, in online, they know that whatever they are writing, it is visible only to the teacher, only to their facilitator. So they are more open, I believe, in online sessions, some of the students who are shy, than in face to face. Because in face to face, many times they don't ask the doubts, because they feel that we will some other students will say you are so stupid, or you don't even know this or something like that. Here it is advantage that they are asking you in a private the question, and as and when you are delivering the session, they can ask the question immediately. So this is where I believe online has a bigger advantage than face to face, right? Okay, so have you come up with the problems? Yes, I think we are doing that. Again, this is not possible in with this current tool, because we don't have this private chat available here. But in the think, pair, share, what we do is, first we ask the participants to write the ask a question and write the response, thinking about their problems. Then we ask them to discuss with a partner. So in online session, when you are doing either on Microsoft Net Meeting or Zoom meeting, what you can do is, you can already, when you are starting your session, you can say that, okay, Deepak is going to be a partner to say Karthik or something like that. So you pair the students, right? And then tell them that, okay, whenever we are going to have this think, pair, share, he is going to be or she is going to be your partner, right? And you are going to chat in the private section and come up with the answers, right? So this is how you can do that. And then finally, when they have come up, they can share the solution, they can share this. Okay, so what are the probable solution to the problems encountered? So this again, now I am asking you as the participants, because I believe you all have also taken some online sessions, and now it is my time to learn from you, I believe. So I have shared my experiences. Now I'll be very happy if you tell me that, okay, madam, this is the problem that we shared in our classroom, and this is how we solved it. Okay, so we are at 12:34. So we still have, I think, 10 minutes. So maybe you can just write in the chat and I can see okay, I think there is a question. People have already started asking me questions, but I want all of you to tell me this. Okay, this is the problem that I encountered in my online class, and this is how I solve. I'll be taking question answers in the last 15 minutes, like Professor Deshmukh has suggested. I don't see anyone writing about their experiences. Maybe you can just mail it to me. I'll be very happy to get feedback from you, because I am also in a learning phase. I am also exploring what are the tools that are available. These are whatever I shared with are the tools which I have used. Okay, I think there is a resistance of students to use particular tool. Okay, so I think this is what was the problem. That one of you has encountered. So I think Renu, she has said that resistance of students. So can you just elaborate on how did you solve that? Okay, network issue solved using conference call. Okay. Yeah, okay, need room without any disturbance. Yes, that is there. We need to record at night. Yes. I think some of you are saying that you are going to mail it to me. Well, fine. Yes, so Rashmita is saying that we have to constantly prepare something new for the students. Yes. Yeah, it is actually, I have been receiving, calls and WhatsApp messages from so many of my colleagues, and everyone is saying that because of this online, we are, busy 24/7. Like we are hardly sleeping, we are continuously online, we are, time management. Yes, we are facing a lot of problems, right? Mm, now, but what I feel is that, it is okay. I mean, it is good that you are constructively engaged with your students, with your peers, with your colleagues, because otherwise, what would we have done? Otherwise we would have just kept, looking at the numbers. Okay, in my locality today so many COVID positive cases have been identified, so many people have been hospitalized. So we would be all, or we would be watching TV on looking at some news which are sometimes fake, sometimes they are, depressing. So instead of that, we are getting engaged positively and constructively. I think nothing like it. So one of my friend colleague, she said that we are in the best times because we are, constructively engaged throughout, and we are experiencing something which like I said, our parents used to tell us, they used to share their stories, right? They would say that something, not relevant to this, but I wanted to share this with all of you, that our parents used to say that what was challenges that time. They would say हम लोग ने ना मतलब स्ट्रीट लाइट के नीचे पढ़ाई की है, हमारे यहाँ लाइट जाते थे तो कैंडल लाइट करके हमने पढ़ाई की है. So that was their challenge during those times. Now when I tell my daughter, what I tell is that for us, when we were in college, we had to book a computer. We had only one computer lab, and we had to book a computer. There was a slots, there were register maintained in the computer lab, and we used to fight on that. There were some students who would, go early in the morning, 8 o'clock, and they would book 2 or 3. Then we had to go to the teacher and complain. No, this person, he is using most of the time in the computer. I'm not getting any slot for the computer, right? So this was what was our challenge. Now, currently, what these students are going to tell, they as parents, after a few years, when these kids they become parents, I'm sure they are going to share their story and about this, corona thing, and how we used to have online classes and how it was. And they are going to say that our challenge was network. We would learn at night after all the people had shut down their machines, because we wanted a good speed, because we wanted to learn. So we had to, just like you are sharing that we are recording the lectures at night, because that is the time when everyone at home is sleeping. So we are at it's quiet in the home. So yes, we are facing this. Okay, so this was the last strategy, and I think I am 5 minutes ahead of time, so I've completed at 12:40. Sir, now my talking is over, so if you have any suggestions, or I think he said that he is going to collect
Yeah.
all the questions and let me know. Yes.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. I would like to take some questions from the
Yeah.
audience, like going back to the Padlet tool, actually.
Yeah.
So, somebody questioned how to create the URL for Padlet.
No. So just like in Google Forms, no, I'll just do it again. Okay, I'll just demonstrate it here. Like this. So I have logged in with my email ID, Google ID. Okay, so this is the Padlet that I have created, FDP in ET Tools. So here you have this share. Okay, so this I have already done. So this is the link. Okay, so this is the link, and you have to just click here, copy to clipboard, just like you do in your Google Forms. So copy to clipboard, right? So this is the URL of your Padlet. Okay, so this I've already done last night. So this is the link which I shared. Now I'm just clicking on this link. Is this visible? So I'm clicking on this link which I shared with myself, and the Padlet is opening. Okay. Have I answered the question?
Yes, ma'am.
So you
Yes,
can
ma'am.
just
The question is
yeah,
answered well. Yeah. Okay. Coming to the next question is: do we get to see the names too on the Mentimeter tool?
get to
Get to see the names of the
uh,
students on the Mentimeter tool.
names of the students. I think we can do that. There is a feature which will allow you to add the names also, but that is available with the paid version.
Okay.
I am using currently the free version. So in that I have not explored. I'll have to see, but I think we can add the names so that we can grade them accordingly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And before the class, do we have the questions and the codes ready for the Mentimeter?
Yeah, it is, like I said, no, this paid version, you can already create your presentation and keep it ready for your class along with the questions added at the respective places. That is possible. But with the free version, you have to, but in free version, you are allowed only two questions of one of each type. That's it. But for paid, you can just upload import your complete PPT. Okay. And wherever you want to add the questions, you can add the questions and save it for your class.
Okay, ma'am. Dipali Shinde madam has a question. I don't know if it will be relatable to this session, but may I have this question? It is, can students hack our machines in the online tool?
See, like I have been saying that hacking is a completely different issue.
Yeah,
And if the
true.
students are well bent on that, and if they have the necessary knowledge of how to hack into your machine, uh, I will not disagree. But yes, you need to protect your machine. You need to have your security features maintained, so that nobody tries. Not even student, anyone can hack anyone's machine. It is possible if they want to do that. But obviously there are no security features in your machine which will not allow people to hack into that. So you need to keep, maybe you can talk to
Enable
people.
those, yeah.
Yes, enable those, and talk to some experts in this particular domain and ask them, like, see, I have been using this. That's why I use Apple laptops. I don't know. I am a fan of these because I have not had many viruses in my machines. No one has hacked till now. So I believe it's also on the OS and the features of the OS that help you in keeping your machine safe from hackers.
Okay, ma'am. Like talking about effective engagement of students in the theoretical courses, I hope all the tools which you mentioned would rightly apply here, isn't it, ma'am?
Yes, yes.
Theoretical
Actually,
courses, because this was a question posted by one of our delegates. Like he's concerned about theoretical courses. So I think the same applies here.
yeah. So see, basically, whenever you are, delivering any topic or a course, so what I normally do is, I select that particular topic. In that topic, again, any topic can be divided into 4 components. I think most of you must be knowing that there are certain facts, right? In that particular topic, there are certain concepts, right? There are certain procedures that the students have to follow or understand, and there are certain principles involved, right? So we call this as the component display theory. So divide whatever topic you want to teach into these 4 components. So for facts, maybe you just have some practice things, right? You just show them some pictures, and this is only at the recall level. For concepts, you need to have more interactivities, right? For procedure, maybe you ask them to do it hands-on because you want them to learn that particular procedure. So just like solving a well-structured problem, so there is a standard procedure for that, right? So depending on what is the content of your topic, you have to accordingly select the strategy for your teaching learning process.
Okay, thank you,
Yeah,
ma'am.
and there
Finally,
is
the
a mapping of this available on our. There are resources available for this particular mapping. Like for this, what is the best strategy? What is the best that way?
Okay, finally, the last question. Which
Yeah.
one is the best tool for assessment?
Assessment, I believe Google Forms I have used, and it really works very well. And currently, actually, IIT Bombay, they have come up with this SAFE app. I think I have shared with some of my colleagues. I'll just share this here, SAFE. The computer science department, they have come up with this app, Smart Authenticated Fast Exams. That is the full form of SAFE. And here they have tried it with so many people. So many people have used this app. It is a very simple to use app. Okay, so this is for the quizzes and other things. But for your class, I believe for formative assessment, I believe Google Forms is the best that I have used till now.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am, for your inputs. It has really been a very interesting session. Thank you
Thank you
very
so
much.
much, everyone, for making
Yeah,
me a part of this interaction discussion.
yeah. for your inputs on the tools like Whiteboard, Moodle, Padlet, and strategies for active learning methods, which would definitely help us in bridging the gap between the teacher and the student, especially on the online mode. And thank you to all the dear participants who have been here for yet another session today. And it was great to be part of the discussion forum of our delegates. To be very honest, I personally felt as if I'm in the real world talking and chatting with our delegates. Isn't it, ma'am? Don't you feel like that?
I also enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah.
See, I would like to just add one small thing at the end. See, our principal used to say that there are 3 types of teachers. Say maybe after a few years when you meet a student, how he describes you to his wife or maybe to his family. So he says that he was one of the teachers in my department. Okay, this is one way. Then he may say that, okay, this teacher taught us this particular course, right? And the third student says that, okay, this teacher has taught me, or I have learned this from this teacher, and I still remember this topic, how she has taught me, and that is why I have learned this and I remember it till now. So it depends on how. So I believe that, student teacher, it is a relationship, a very, very long-term relationship. And the more you put your efforts into this, more satisfying, enjoyable, and it is going to be in the long run.
Thank you very much, ma'am, Anita madam, for today's such a wonderful session today, and looking forward to meet you as well later in our college. Sure. Yeah. Finally,
and, I think I've shared my email ID, so if anyone has any other doubts, they can always mail it to me.
Yeah,
so, I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you, ma'am, once again.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Professor Deshmukh.
Yeah. Finally, let us wrap up the day first session of the FDP.
Yeah.
For wrapping up, I would request Professor Ambadas Deshmukh to deliver the vote of thanks.
A very good afternoon to everyone present here. On behalf of the entire first year fraternity and on my very own behalf, I extend a very hearty vote of thanks to Dr. Anita Divakar for sharing with us your opinions. Thank you, madam. I would also wholeheartedly thank all the delegates for their active participation. On that note, I would request all to fill in the feedback form for this session, which is available in the chat box. Please join us once again at 2 p.m. Thank you.